Hi, my name is Jocelyn Shelfo, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so happy to be joined by Jocelyn Shelfo. Hello.
Hello, Chloe. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
I know we were just talking beforehand that you had finals that are now done. So now you're kind of hopefully free for the summer unless like another project comes up, of course.
Yeah, with the strikes and stuff, everything's pretty slow. So I think I'm going to use the time to maybe do some personal work and stuff. There's a film that I want to try to start thinking about producing. So maybe like gearing up towards doing that.
I wanted to first ask you, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you to pursue a career in film?
Yeah. So as a kid, I was always like the type of person to dress up all the time. For my birthdays, I would always ask my grandma to like get a wig for me. So I would like always be wearing wigs. It was so random, but so fun. And then going into high school, after my last year in middle school, there was a youth film festival in our town. So I was like, okay. So I made a little short film and stuff, and a casting director there got me introduced to an agency. And so from there, I just started kind of doing some commercial work and taking classes at a couple studios. And I think once I started classes, that was when I was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is so fun. Like I would always look forward to those days and just the people and yeah, acting class is a blast.
What kinds of like costumes did you dress up as when you were younger?
Well, Halloween was something that I never failed to like pull up to. But I think I just like finding random stuff of my mom's. Like she had this old like blue dress that felt like a princess dress, so I would like walk around the house in that type of thing. I think I went to a basketball game in one of my wigs, like my brother's high school basketball game. Like I was like, I hope no one notices.
And
But
your brother's like probably on the court going like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know her."
yeah, for sure.
I
But
mean, no better place to get an audience, that's for sure.
yeah. So I think it's always something I've been inclined towards, but never really realized my passion for it until like taking that step and starting to consider it seriously.
Now tell me about your acting training and your current performing arts studies in college.
Yes. So I go to Savannah College of Art and Design, and they have a performing arts major, and then they also do a lot of like film majors. They have a production design major, sound design, and stuff like that, costume design. So I think the cool part about that school is all the students in film have to do like thesis films and stuff, and so there's a lot of collaboration between all the departments and stuff. But I think my favorite part of school and like the performing arts um thing there is I joined an improv club and like an improv campaign type of thing, and it's so much fun. Our teacher David Stork studied with the Upright Citizens Brigade, and he is just a phenomenal improv teacher, like really knows how to create an ensemble and keep people encouraged and stuff. And so that's been super fun because we do shows every Friday and stuff like that.
And it's so important when you have teachers like that with so much knowledge to kind of
Yeah.
learn from and soak up. You're also doing a minor in business, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah. That's cool. I think as an actor, you, sometimes I forget at least that you are your own business. And so learning how to run your business and do all the tax forms and like think about it in a business light is really important, especially when you get like contracts that you need to know how to read and be able to stand up for yourself and stuff. So yeah, that's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's not as fun as the acting major part, but it's useful, I guess.
I'm sure it is not, but I think like having that ownership over your kind of career and like you mentioned,
Mhm.
contracts, like understanding it yourself is something that's invaluable and hopefully you'll get more and get to expand that side as well. Now you worked with Jenny Han on The Summer I Turned Pretty, where you starred as Marissa in season one. Tell me about what you really learned and took away from your time at Cousins Beach.
It was so fun. That was my first recurring role. And I think specifically like on the first day, it was the debutante tea thing where like all of us were at the table drinking the tea and stuff. And I think that was the first time where I kind of took ownership of my job as an actor. I think prior to that being on set, I was always like, I'm nervous, like I just gotta go in and like do my job. And then there, like I kind of had an expectation of how the scene was gonna go. And then we got to set and the director was like, okay, so like everyone's gonna be, he just like made the vibe so fun and everything. And I think that's when I was like, oh, like I can take risks with my character. I can do like I can wink at Belly and it'll be funny. Like so being bold in your choices and like understanding that, oh, this is a real person and I can explore that on set, I think was probably the biggest takeaway.
What kinds of bonds and friendships did you form with that cast?
Such good ones. I think sometimes coming into a set, because I wasn't there the whole time, like I would drive back up every couple of weeks to see everybody. And so I think that can be daunting knowing that there's like a whole cast of people who like are really close and everything, but everyone was so welcoming and lovely. Like everyone on the cast is so lovely. And my friend Kelsey, who plays Dara, we got to be really close friends because we were like always there at the same time and just yeah, everyone's so good. I just like I the only two people I didn't really get to know was Sean and Chris, but yeah, it was just fun. A lot of like games and just it felt like summer camp all the times we were there for sure.
And like you mentioned, like the whole, all of like the Deb scenes, I absolutely loved. And I mean, you got to film the Deb ball scene, which must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was so cool because we did dance rehearsals for it. And I've never done ballroom dancing, but after that I was like, "Oh, maybe this will be a new hobby of mine" because it was so fun. And our teacher was so funny and so great. He would just teach us how to dance and stuff. So that was cool because I don't know, I feel like growing up watching like High School Musical and all the stuff where they have rehearsals outside of that Camp Rock and stuff. I was like, "Oh, I feel like I'm in a Disney movie kind of."
Taking you back to your childhood.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we expect to see you make any kind of appearance in season two?
I don't know if I would be allowed to say if I was or was not in it, so I would have to plead the fifth
You'll
on that.
plead the fifth.
Yeah, yeah.
But irrespective of your responses, I know any kind of spoilers, whether you are, whether you're not, are probably barred, but the show is coming out soon. It'll be rolling out not all
Yeah.
at once at this time, but will you be tuning into season two to see your friends, more of the story unfold? Like, what are you personally excited to see more of?
I'm so pumped. I think the season is going to be so good. I think I'm excited to see like what happens with all the boys because I know the people who read the books are like, oh, like the Conrad girlies are gonna have to fight for their lives and stuff. But I think I'm excited to see what they do with the new characters. I know they brought on Elsie Fisher, who is so amazing, and I'm excited to see like I don't know the just kind of like what happens. And I know David is back for season two, and he's great. And so just kind of seeing what they do with season two in general, I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, you mentioned like Cam Cameron, Rain, she's back as Taylor as well. So we'll kind of get to see more things thrown in and what happens. And you took the most incredible film photos of the cast last season. So I know
Mhm.
that the cast, but also fans really loved you kind of documenting what went on behind the scenes. So if you are not on season two, that will be missed, but hopefully more opportunities in the future. And speaking about, you know, your new show, which you also took some photos for,
Yeah.
Exo Kitty, we will be discussing spoilers. So for all those watching, please make sure you've watched season one in full on Netflix. Now you star as Madison Miller. What can you share about your audition and casting process?
Yes. So let's see. When I first got the audition, I read through the script and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, this character is so funny. Like it just kind of something I feel like there's some scripts I read where I'm like, oh, like I don't know how exactly I'm gonna play this type of thing. But as soon as I saw the sides, I was like, oh, I know this person. I got her. But my sides were they weren't actually in the what's it called in the show, so they were kind of like dummy sides a little bit, but they were so funny, they were so fun. And so I did a tape for that. And then a little birdie told me that I'd need to learn some Korean for the show. And so I like in my slate for my callback, I sent a video of me like speaking some really poorly spoken Korean. And then I did another read with like the directors and everybody. And then a couple weeks later, they told me I got the job. So it was really exciting. I didn't do any chemistry reads though. So I only met the cast after everyone was casted at like a table read type of thing.
Do you think, or would you like to think that maybe Jenny put in a good word for you?
100%. I think that's definitely how I got my audition. I had never auditioned for LA casting people before. And I think speaking afterwards, I think she was definitely a proponent for me to get an audition. So very grateful for that because she's definitely looking out for me.
That's amazing. Well, I think it speaks volumes to, the work you even did on The Summer I Turned Pretty, that she would consider you for this part. And that's something that's so special. And I'm sure a relationship that you would love to continue. How familiar were you with the To All the Boys universe and those films? Like, did you watch them when they came out? Did that part come after you were cast?
I definitely saw the first movie when it came out and I really liked it. I thought it was so cute. And I remember seeing Anna and I was like, oh, she's so good. I don't think I ended up seeing the most recent one until I got my audition. And then I kind of did like we're gonna watch all of these real quick just to kind of understand the tone and like the world that they're building. But yeah, I definitely seen the movies. I hadn't read the books though. I still haven't read the books.
Well, next on your list, maybe this summer, if you have some time to do that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what conversations did you have with Jenny, with Sasha Rothschild about Madison and her role in this story?
Yeah. I think once I got to read through the whole script and stuff, we sat down and we had a meeting and I like brought them my questions and my thoughts and just tried to get a better understanding of where they're coming from with the character and like where she kind of was born out of and what their intentions were for her as far as like who she is, her character, her motives and stuff like that. I think that was really helpful in identifying kind of those things and like making sure we were on the same page and being conscious of that kind of stuff. But they were really great. They had a lot to say, and it was kind of cool to hear like the inspiration behind her and stuff like that. So
And of course, Sasha got to play your mother in a
yeah,
in a brief scene. So you got
yeah.
like the redhead kind of connection going on. Now to talk a bit more about Madison, maybe get some thoughts of yours. Like she's introduced, of course, as the daughter of a
Mhm.
business associate of Yuri's father. So what were you given, or what did you kind of create for her backstory in terms of maybe where she grew up, what her childhood and upbringing was like, relationship with her parents, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about guest stars is that you don't always have like the background built into the script. So that was definitely stuff that I had talked about with Jenny and Sasha, and then also stuff that you kind of like put the context clues together. In my audition, in one of the scenes, I have a line and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Madison. I'm from Wisconsin, not Madison, Wisconsin, but from Fox Point. It's a suburb of Milwaukee." And so I was like, "Okay, well, she's from Fox Point in the suburb of Milwaukee." And then I think too, just like thinking about what it would be like to be raised under super conservative parents and like how that might make you swing the other way and like go far into exploring who you are outside of like the confines of your family's culture and stuff like that. And I think there's some lines where she's like, "Oh, like I've snuck out of every window of every boarding school from here to my or Antarctica or something," and it's like, "Oh, okay, so." She's either like always in trouble and like skipping school and like doing whatever, like her parents don't know she's skipping out and like they think she's an angel and she just is like good at manipulating people type of thing. So I think like deciding those things and seeing how it fits into who she is.
I love that assessment. I think that could be so accurate because, you know, it's mentioned again, you're taking little kind of tidbits and building on it. That Miller hospitality is said to be ultra conservative. Clearly,
Mhm.
Madison is not. And she has, I think, gotten good at being a little like conniving, sneaky. What do you think are Madison's current goals, values, and personality traits?
Hmm. I think I think I kind of see her in a different light than some people might, but I think she's definitely a go-getter. I think that she's going to be some like very successful businesswoman because I think she knows how to like work a crowd. I think she is very aware of like how people perceive her and like play into that. Like she's kind of in on the joke type of thing. I think if she likes something, she is obviously like full throttle, like very into it, very open about it. I think she's confident about what she likes and doesn't care so much what people thinks. But I also think she's quite smart, even if people don't notice it at first. I think as the season progresses, you see a different side of her, and you're like, oh, I didn't kind of expect that from her, but she's like more grounded at times and stuff. So yeah, I think that's Madison kind of.
What kinds of elements or qualities did you find to be very similar or maybe dissimilar to yourself?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think, and I don't know how to articulate this in a good way. I think Madison is the type of person to like, I don't know how to say it. Like she just will do weird things, I guess, or just like she knows she like is making people uncomfortable by like like and I think in a similar light, I can sometimes forget like what is socially acceptable. Like the other day, I went up to one of my teachers who I don't think likes me very much, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Why did I just do that?" I was like, "Why?" Like I'm red just thinking about it, and I was like, "People don't do that to other people, especially your teachers." And so I think in that way, I got to explore some of like my quirkier side through her. But yeah, I think that's a similarity for sure.
I mean, I think that like I would call Madison a bit of a free spirit. And like you
Yeah,
mentioned, sometimes you can forget like social constructs and norms, but I think like it's all kind of good intentional, harmless, good intentions. So I mean, I love the character. You played her so well, and we'll get into some of those scenes. But I'm curious, like, why do you think Madison, she's clearly been to a lot of different schools. Why did she want to uproot her life and move to go to Kiss specifically?
yeah.
It seemed like she was fascinated with Korean K-pop culture.
Definitely, definitely. I would imagine Madison maybe being from the Midwest and being like a really strong-spirited person couldn't like didn't find people like-minded to her and has been to a bunch of different places and has explored who she is and what she likes. And I think she just learned about Korea and like loves the culture, the language, probably just the people and stuff. And I think as far as K-pop goes, I think she likes the spectacle of K-pop. Like I imagine she would like be lying in bed watching Blackpink performances on YouTube like until 3 a.m. And I think K-pop fans especially are like super ride or die for their idols, and like there's like a big community and support system around that where they like have so much respect for their idols and like the other people. And I think being with like-minded people who like have such a passion for the same thing she does, I think she finds a lot of community there, and also probably really respects the K-pop people for their work because it's crazy. I didn't know a lot about K-pop prior to the show, and I would start watching like K-pop videos and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, how are they dancing like that and singing at the same time? And like the outfits are amazing and stuff. So I think she just has like clung to this idea of that for sure.
And they go through like such an intense training regimen as well.
Definitely. I have a friend who went through some of like the K-pop training and stuff, and just hearing those stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's intense. That's intense. Yeah.
Who are some of your current like kind of favorite K-pop artists or even K-dramas? Because I know there was a bit of like an overlap in how this show was filmed as well that could kind of relate to that genre.
Yeah. I think Blackpink, they're always on my For You page on on Instagram and stuff. They're so cool. And one of I've started listening to Twice a lot in Korea. There was a couple songs from them that I really enjoyed. BTS, of course. And there was a song that was kind of not our anthem as a cast, but it would get played a lot in the vans. It was like the I see you looking at my PIC, and it's like zoom in, zoom out. So that was played a lot there too.
Tell me about your favorite scene to be a part of and why.
I think that the detention episode was fun just because like the whole cast was there. Um and so that was fun to just like be in the room with everybody and like everyone had different scenes and stuff. And then like when you're in the background, you can just kind of like mess around and do funny stuff and like see if the camera's gonna pick it up or whatever. But then I also we worked. I also really enjoyed the fan dance because we did it in front of all the background, like the background was there in the audience. And so it was kind of like a mix between theater a little bit and because you're doing it for the people and like they're reacting and you're presenting it to like a large audience. And it was just really fun to do the dance. It's so cool. Um, yeah, so I enjoyed that a lot too.
I wanted to talk a bit more about those scenes, like the detention one. Madison played a big part in it. And the library, like the whole set was incredible. Like I loved that whole library. Did you kind of get to explore around that set when you were there?
Yeah. So we filmed that like all the interior school stuff were at different locations. And so when we got to the library, who like the location scouts for that were brilliant. Like all the bookshelves and like all the round stuff. It was such a pretty place. Um so I definitely think that was probably one of my favorite sets to be on too because like the colors of everything and the wardrobe like matched the colors in the books and stuff. It was cool.
Now, the talent show, you mentioned the fan dance. You had to go through some kind of like training for that as well. So what was that like for you?
It was hard because I don't have a background in dance. Um, but once like the all the girls were really supportive and were like, okay, like this is how we do it and stuff. But I really enjoyed learning like I guess just how to do that. It was really fun. Like we had the fans and we would like wear our wrap skirts and like learn how to like step and then I don't know, it's so intricate and so beautiful. It was cool to kind of experience that and get an authentic take on like what that would look like.
And you got to wear the traditional dress, the hanbok, I think
Mhm.
it's pronounced like
Yeah,
that as well, which is like another added layer to that whole cultural experience for you.
definitely. And at first I was kind of like, ugh, am I like gonna be allowed to wear this? Like I don't know. And I think they added that line into the show too. But everyone was like, yes, like in this context, it's fine. Like you're doing it out of respect and stuff. So it was really cool to kind of because I mean, like it's so beautiful. The hanboks are always like the detailing and the colors and yeah, I was like ugh, a little felt weird about it at first, but it was cool to be able to experience it.
Now, in that episode, can we talk about Madison's reaction to the sparklers going off? She literally is like, no. And then, I mean, they all basically leave Kitty out there while her
Yeah.
dress is catching fire. Did you like talk about that after with the script? And you're like, okay, Kitty's on her own. Like, what happened to all her supposed friends?
I think I think in our heads it was probably like she's gonna come, like she's got it. But I think Madison, I think she was just like so fed up that she wasn't gonna have her K-pop dance, which personally I would have loved, kind of, not really, because that would have been like so crazy for me, but I think it would have been so fun to like actually do a K-pop dance and like really get into it and like not be very good at it and stuff. But yeah, I just imagine we were all like, of course, Kitty gets like struck by fire. So much drama.
And of course she gets saved by like a kind of Prince Charming thing. Chuseok dinner.
Mhm.
Anything in particular you remember from filming and that scenes?
I just remember. That was probably one of my other favorite scenes to do because it was the first time I had been on set with the whole cast, I think, or the majority of us. And that was fun because we would like each do our own coverage and then like we'd all kind of like sit and watch like at the table and see everyone do their stuff. And I remember and like I would be looking at Mino and I'd be like, Mino, you're here, you cooked. Oh my gosh. And Anthony came up to me, he's like, girl, you gotta stop with the crazy eyes. Like, I know Madison's crazy, but come on. And I was like, no, just like trust the process. Like, this is who she is. But it was fun to like see people like holding in their laughs and like watching everyone do their work and stuff like that. So that was a fun night.
Anthony said that the food he told us was just for show, and it was like 2 days old, so you couldn't actually eat it, although it looked really good.
The food looks amazing. I for Chuseok we did they were like you can eat this food and stuff. And so like some of it was actually pretty good. I was like but yeah, for the most part you couldn't I wouldn't have eaten a lot of that food. Although it was really nice because at one point we were there over lunch and I was like, oh, like that ramen smells so good. And one of the props people was like, I'll make you some ramen. And they made me ramen for lunch. And so that was so nice. I was like, wait, really? Thank you. But yeah. So it was good. I'm sure like if it wasn't 2 days old, it'd be delicious.
That's so sweet though. At least you got your ramen fix. That was so
Yeah.
nice of someone
Yeah.
at catering. Minho's Madness Party. Anything you remember from that one? I mean, another crazy set that looked like such a giant like club area. Obviously, you had Gia as Yuri at the turntables mixing
Mhm.
later on.
I think that was one of the times where I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a facade. Because when people like, have you seen the memes online where it's like, oh, it's a dance party, but all you really hear and it's like this the sneakers squeaking? That's not a joke. That is verbatim like how it sounds. And so I was like, oh, this is so awkward. We're just like yelling at each other, partying and around a bunch of people. But I also think that night I had these really beautiful flower earrings on that were like dangly, but they were so heavy. And so I wouldn't put them on until like we started rolling. But for like two takes, I had like forgotten to put them on. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I was like, I'm so sorry. But I don't think you can tell because my hair was down. But yeah, that happened that night. I was like, no.
Jocelyn single-handedly messing up the
I
continuity
know.
in
I
the
know.
shots. I mean, so when it was like almost dead silent, like how do you keep the energy up then?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard, especially when like you're dancing and stuff. But I think you just have to remember that it won't look weird after post. After they score it and add all the sound, it'll be fine. And everyone's in the same boat. Like everyone has to do that. So it's like we're all gonna look weird together, type of thing. But you do. It's like a learning curve of like,
Feeling
okay.
comfortable, like
Yeah.
jamming out to no music. Yeah. Now the class trip in episode 8, Madison's reaction to Ocean Park's arrival. She had the subtle diss hidden in between the compliments of his live shows. When you kind of read that dialogue, like what are you thinking about in terms of your delivery? Because it was so spot on for your character.
Thank you. I don't know. The writing for that was so funny. Like as I was reading this show, I was lying in bed like and I think that especially is like the epitome of who Madison is. She's like so supportive, but she's like incredibly honest and is like, yeah, you are great, but like it was fine because I still love you. So I think I don't know, I think like they wrote it so perfectly that it was like clear kind of the direction to take it in. And then for the scream, that was something where like in the rehearsals and stuff, I was kind of just like, oh my gosh, it's Ocean Park. And then I was like, wait a minute. No, like this is someone who she is like obsessed with. Like, let's just marinate in who Madison is and just take it to the next level. And so I think when I did that, everyone was like, ah, like what? But yeah, that was fun for sure.
Anthony, he said that that was like his favorite scene, I think, because he said, and I quote, "Your scream was so aggressive and out of place." And yeah, it was a pretty jarring one. Did you surprise those people around you as well?
I think definitely. And I feel bad for Songhun because I think for the first like take or two, I had just done like a regular like, oh gosh, ah. And then I was like, no, wait, I have to do this. I know what I need to do. And I didn't tell him that I was gonna do that. And I was like, oh gosh, I think his reaction might have been real because I might have hurt his ears. But yeah, I think everyone, the camera people were like, what? But I think that's what's so fun about acting too, is like, making it fun for other people and getting a laugh. When you get a laugh on set, it's like the best feeling ever. You're like, I did my job good. So, yeah.
Highest compliment. And it's all about getting that initial first reaction, which I think is great. Now, which is your favorite scene that you were not in and why? So, favorite scene purely as a viewer.
Hmm. So many good ones. This one is more of like a clip from a scene, but when I saw it, I literally laughed out loud. When Kitty moves in, and so they're all at night and they're sleeping, and Sanghan, Mino and Dae are like cuddling in bed together. Sanghan like goes to like cuddle with him and Dae takes him off. I don't know why it made me laugh so hard because it was like the perfect example of like their dynamic and their friendship. Um, and so that was so funny to me. But I also, if I had to pick like a scene, I really thought just like the emotions and everything in the scene where Yuri comes to move in and she like comes out and stuff, that I was like so tender.
And then obviously having Q and Kitty be really supportive over that when
Mhm.
she goes to their space as well. And then, you know, all these people in that small space definitely does not pass the room check for
Oh,
Kiss, but I love it. And the dynamics obviously that Kitty had with the guys. Now, Madison, she spends time going after Minho early on. What did
mhm.
she like about him specifically, or was it purely related to his status and fame?
That's a good question. I think this is something that I talked about with the showrunners a little bit. Like trying to find out like where she's coming from. I think for her, she's very sex positive and is like kind of a player. Like she likes the chase, she likes to have a challenge. And so I think the fact that he's like the most liked guy in school and like everyone is like, oh, she's like, okay, challenge accepted. And I think he's known in the school for not wanting to have a girlfriend. And I think that fits with what Madison is looking for as well. And so I think that's another thing that she's really drawn to that we kind of hear in the breakup scene. She's like, oh, like I forget the line, but like, oh, I thought that's like the type of thing. That's why I liked you. And so I think she's like caught off guard by him actually liking her because she's like, whoa, I have commitment issues type of thing.
That scene where she gets there late, he has like the flowers on the bed and everything. Like for for you, I mean, you're in character, but you're probably like, can't believe she's turning all of this down.
It's because he's just like he's cuddled up on his bed. I feel so sad for him. But I think, yeah, yeah, it's kind of sad. And I think originally he was supposed to have like chocolate strawberries that he had like eaten all of and have like chocolate all over his face and stuff. I think they ended up scratching that, but I think that would have just added to like the comedy of the scene because it's like, yeah. But
I think he did. He might have had chocolate strawberries like on a plate or something, but I guess they cleaned it up so he wouldn't have
oh
looked so chocolatey on camera. That would have been funny though. Like, I mean,
yeah.
eating in that sadness that Madison caused.
Sorry.
What was it like working so closely with Sang-han and many of your scenes? Like, what was he like as a person, scene partner? Did you two discuss your characters' dynamics at all?
He was great. I love him. He's the bestest. I think, Yeah, I did have most of my scenes with him, so I think we really got to know each other a lot. And I think he's just so funny. He's like so good at his job. Like he gives you so much to react off of. I don't know that I think for some of the scenes we had talked through a little bit, but I think for the most part we kind of trusted that we knew our characters and kind of like let that live in the space and bring the surprises of how the other person is going to react because they're both very very bold and reactionary people, I think, as far as like facial expressions and stuff. So I think that was fun to be able to just like see what he was going to bring to the table and vice versa. um and then yeah, I think just as a person, like if you were ever stressed out about something, he'd be like, Jocelyn, it's okay. I can't do his accent, but like, um, yeah, he'd always be really supportive and like talk you off the ledge if you're getting anxious or anything.
That's so sweet, and it's so nice to have that kind of support on set within the cast. What can you say about Anna's performance as Kitty and like as Madison? How do
Mhm.
you think her opinions were towards her? Because she really got to kind of know and understand her a bit better throughout the semester.
Yeah. Well, I think Anna killed it. Avi, like she got a spinoff for a reason. She's so talented, really understands comedy, and I think just acting with her, she is a really attentive scene partner and is so focused and like when she's in a scene because she's gonna be like completely in it, which I think is really fun. I think Madison, I think that they are not really friends. I think that they could be friends, but I think at least in season one and like throughout that part of the school year, I think Madison's opinion of Kitty is like, oh, she's so dramatic. Like she's like, there's always something with this girl, and she's kind of like, get it together. Like I think that's how she feels about her, and I think we see kind of that attitude towards the end in episode 10. She's like, oh my gosh, you're fine. You're really fine. Like I've gotten kicked out so many times. Like you'll live. But I think in that she's still like an attentive person who is thoughtful and like wants to be supportive of that. But I think in if we do have a season two, I think it would be cool to like explore that relationship and see what that would look like because I think they would get along. I just think I don't think that they were that close in season one.
I think that's a fair assessment because they do kind of spend some time together, but they probably like obviously they never like had any kind of heart to heart. Like she sees Kitty around, she sees what kind of
Yeah.
follows, and it's funny because Madison like she's the outwardly dramatic one, but then in contrast, like she knows that it's all like kind of a no strings go with the flow kind of
Mhm.
personality, and she owns that. Did you work with an intimacy coordinator on your kiss scenes? And if so, like what would you say about the importance of ICs in a production and really the value and support that they provide?
They're really great. I think sometimes I'm like, oh, like it'll be fine. It's just a kiss. And then you get there and you're around a bunch of people and like the camera team is like right in your face and you're like, ah. And so I think we worked with Christina and she was great. And just like even the things that you don't realize she's doing, she's very aware of where you are and like is always checking up on you and making sure everyone's comfortable. And I think having someone there to mediate and set boundaries that we can all agree upon is really helpful because if a third party isn't there, oftentimes like you might be like, okay, like no, like I'm okay with that and like want to make sure someone else is okay and like be put in a weird position. So I think um they're really important and change the way that the set looks.
For sure. And it's so important to have those people. And so I think it's becoming a bit more kind of mandated or mandatory on productions, which is great. How about the wardrobe, hair, makeup team on this production? Because I mean, a lot of the fashion was, I think, like next level fun. You yourself got to wear a lot of like kind of floral things for Madison.
Yeah. It was so much fun. Wardrobe and like makeup and stuff is one of my favorite parts about being an actor because I think like once you add that layer, it's like, okay, I understand who my character is. And I don't think it was until having the conversations about what she would be wearing and stuff that it like solidified my understanding of who Madison was. Something we talked about was we wanted her to be like a year or two behind in fashion, but like all out. And so I think that that reads a little bit and just plays into like she's trying so hard to like be a part of this and she loves what she's wearing, but like she kind of misses the mark a lot. But doesn't really care. And I think that that was really cool. Like the costume people were so phenomenal and the makeup people were great. Like they're just like they were on top of the trends. Like they knew what was cool. They did like the sparkle freckles for the one of the first party scenes and stuff. I was like, that's so cool. I would never have thought about doing that. But I think it's cool how they were like entrusted to really have fun with their jobs and stuff.
And Madison had a really cute look, I think, in one of your opening scenes when she had maybe like, I forgot if it was braids or pigtails, she had the K-pop shirt on. And I
Yeah.
wanted to briefly talk about that because that was like her first run-in with Kitty. It was kind of like in that hall while she's getting like her room key or whatnot. So
Mhm.
she speaks English, but how come she only spoke to Kitty in Korean in that moment? Like it never, I was like trying to figure out, like she responded to her like, oh, I don't speak English. So is she just trying to give her Korean some practice? Like what was that reason?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of things. I imagine, you know, it's like her first time in Korea and she's just like, I'm so excited to speak Korean and stuff because I don't think one of the scenes where Madison like says a couple lines in Korean and like you kind of see like, oh wait, she like knows the language. What? She's good at it. Got cut out. So I think that's like an intro to that a little bit. But I think she's also just like, ugh, these American people like aren't trying to speak Korean and you're in someone else's country. Like at least I'm like doing what I can to like learn about their culture. I think that's kind of where she's coming from in that sense.
It's too bad that some of the other kind of Korean parts got cut. I think that there was like a portion at the party where it's also hinted, you know, she really enjoys this culture, wants to be there. So if season two happens, you might have to be brushing up, learning some more Korean, getting to showcase that.
That's
Uh,
okay. I love it. It's such a beautiful language.
what are
So,
some of your favorite phrases?
ooh, um, I one of the things I said in the show it was I was just like introducing my name. I was like, 제 이름은 Medicine입니다 or something like that. But I learned Hangul, like the alphabet. And so like I can read Korean, not great, but I will have no idea what I'm saying. But yeah, I wish like I don't know. I wish like if we have a season two, like I would be able to find out soon. So if we go back to Korea, I can like try to learn some of the language and learn how to speak it and stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
And definitely be able to communicate with locals, maybe some
Yeah.
of the crew a bit better. But fingers crossed for that. We'll talk about some other storylines you might like to see. But what are some of your favorite memories from season one behind the scenes? Just really getting to know and spend time with this cast.
I feel like all of it. It really felt like such a blessing and such a fortunate experience that we all got to be like in the same hotel and just hang out all the time. I don't think that there was a specific moment where I was like, oh, this is like the best day here. I just think the accumulation of all the time spent together and like a lot of times Peter would bring his guitar into one of the hotel rooms and we'd all do a little sing along or just being weird and silly and like dancing and listening to music, rock climbing with everyone, sharing meals and stuff. I think just getting to know everybody on like a quiet level, intimately in a hotel room, talking and hanging out is probably my favorite memories.
And Peter's an incredible singer. He has like that whole indie
Yeah.
singer-songwriter vibe going to
Mhm.
him. I saw like behind the scenes, you and Minyoung, they were doing the water bottle toss. You two
Yes.
just look like were having so much fun doing that together. And then you were jamming out to the Killers, Spaceman in the car. So it's like all those kind of like little moments.
Yes, yes, 100%. They're so lovely and you just cling to them all. I love it.
You also mentioned, I think, in another interview that Sang-han would invite the cast to tea in his room and
Mhm.
cook breakfast for you. So, I mean, what did he cook? Were you impressed by it?
Yeah, he is a really good chef. He'll be chefing it up. He has this tea that he gets from England where he did his university. He like bought like huge packs of it, and so he would make us his British tea. And then a lot of times for breakfast, he would make like eggs and a sausage and then something else. Um, and then Anthony did a lot of the cooking for dinner. He had this amazing pasta that he would make and we'd share. And then for me, he would cook, like if everyone was working, he would make us dinner and he made this really good chicken, and rice and stuff. So yeah, we got creative. It was pretty good.
So, if renewed for season two, like what would you further like to explore and see with Madison, maybe beyond I know you mentioned like maybe knowing Kitty a bit more, embracing more of that Korean culture.
I think for Madison, I think as the season progresses, you see more of her in kind of a more casual light, and I think she tends to grow on people throughout the season. Like she's a little strong in the mouth at first. But I think seeing more of who she is like as herself and in like comfortable situations, that would interest me just to see like more about her. But I also think I Juliana, who's Yuri's girlfriend, she comes back into town. So I think Juliana and Madison would be good friends. And I think I'd like to explore that. And I'd be curious to see what's going to happen. I feel like anything could happen. So much happened in season one. But I think it would be fun if Juliana, Kitty, Madison, and Yuri were all roommates and like put into the same room. I think that'd be pretty dramatic, but I think it'd be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Definitely, like those dynamics would be interesting, and we know that the dorm has like four people in it. So I mean, you have these characters right here, and obviously getting to see Reagan hopefully play a bigger part
Yeah.
in a second season. Also, like I'm curious about maybe you can't say because I think this might be explained, but the Miller Hospitality Han Hotels deal. I mean, after the talent show went awry a little bit, you wonder what the status is of that. And was Madison's like stay at KISS always meant to be more than one semester? Like, was it supposed to be two, do you think, by standard?
I would hope so. Simply
You're
for the
like, I
reason
need to
that
be
I'd like
back. I don't want to leave.
to. Yeah. I imagine that her plan is to stay there for a while. Um, and I think Madison is conniving enough that she can figure like I think she knows how to get what she wants and like work a crowd type of thing. So I think she wants to stay. I think this is one of the places where well, okay, let me preface. I think her moving around from school to school is probably with her own intention behind it. Like she doesn't like a school. Okay, well, we're just gonna sneak out and like do whatever and stuff. And so I think she enjoys Kiss and I think she wants to stay. And so maybe seeing that side of her, we're like, okay, she has to behave now. Like she has to grapple with that and like make her parents happy type of thing. So I think she enjoys it.
Could offer some groundedness that maybe is much needed for her. What other specific storylines would you be excited to see more of outside of like Madison's realm that's kind of been left as cliffhangers in season one?
Well, of course, I'm an enemies to lover girl, so I'm curious what they'll do with Mino and Kitty. Because at the moment, I think they take off leaving Korea. So I wonder, I honestly, they could do so much in season two. I don't know. Um, I think I would be curious what happens with Day. I'd be curious to see, I think it'd be cool to see like Peter, Professor Finnerty, and um, his dad, like see them kind of work through a family life and like build that relationship and stuff. Um, and then I think the stuff with Yuri, Juliana, and Kitty, I think all of it. Like I don't know what would happen. Um, and so I hope we have a season two so I can get answers. But
You're like, I need answers not only as a cast member, but as a fan of the show.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
What kinds of messages and reaction have you seen since the show's release, and what has like the fan support meant to you? Because it's a show that's gone worldwide, and so I know there's not only like fans in like US, Canada, but all around the world, including in
Mhm.
Korea.
It's so amazing, and I'm so heartwarmed by the support that a lot of people have shown and like how much people have enjoyed the show and stuff. Especially being such an international show. Like I'll get the DMs and people are like, ah, like congratulations from Brazil or like the Philippines loves you. And it's like, oh, thank you. That's so great. I'm so happy you can connect with the characters and with the storyline, and it like gives you something to look forward to and enjoy watching. It's been curious to see how people have reacted to specific characters. Of course, I knew Mino was going to be a heartthrob from the beginning. I mean, look at the guy. He's beautiful. And then with Madison, like people have like different opinions about that, and I think those are all valid opinions. Like um so I think it's cool to see, I don't know, like how it's taken and how people like it and what people would maybe want to see in a season two, and the stuff that like resonates with people.
Okay, we'll go through some tweets now. So,
Okay.
I think there are five that I sent you, so I will give you the floor.
Madison knowing Mino's order. I'm a cry, baby. He doesn't deserve you. Cry face, cry face, cry face. So true. So true. I mean, get someone who's going to be attentive to you, I guess.
She definitely strikes me as a girl who would do her research on Twitter and like read the gossip magazines.
For sure. I think I think that's part of the game for her. Like I think she knows everyone's tea, and people don't know that she knows everyone's tea, and that's people underestimate her. But I think she's also very blatant when she likes a boy. It's part of her game. She's the ultimate Rizzler, maybe. Am I the only one who under wait, am I the only one who understood that Madison and Mino's connection? I mean, so true. They did have chemistry. They were so cute. I would be interested to see if they ever found each other again, which I don't know. I'm an enemies to lovers girl, so maybe I'm Mino and Kitty, but for Madison, who knows? LMAO, Madison is a Korea boy. Can't. No comment.
How familiar were you with K-pop culture terminology before and then after the show? Because she did use some different terms.
Yeah, not really at all. And so I think reading more about the script and like doing my research, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I know what this is now, type of thing. Um, yeah. So I think afterwards I definitely know more about it than prior to the show.
Were there any like K-pop or stan culture enthusiasts, either like on the crew or on the cast, that you could kind of ask for like hints here and there?
I think one of my friends who I met had like done the K-pop training. And so I think that was interesting to hear more about that. And I don't think there was anyone who was like crazy, crazy obsessed with it. But I think just getting into conversation about with people about K-pop and like what they listen to and like the the smaller things like the details that they might like have on their phone or like the language they might use or even just being like what's a BTS army? I was like, "Oh, okay, now I know. It's their fan group." Um and so yeah, stuff like that was definitely helpful. Can we have another cameo of Ocean Park on the second season? Yeah, that'd be fun. Bring him back on. He was so nice.
I mean, you got to work with, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It was like Taekyon,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
talented, well-known South Korean artist. So I mean, that was kind of like almost the K-pop crossover right there. I think people were surprised to see him show up on the screen. So what was it like having him on set for that brief moment?
I think that that was interesting because like talking about oh like what did you learn about K-pop culture and like fans and stuff. I think that was when I really saw how people might react to that because like all the background and the crew they were like oh my gosh like he's here. Like, we know who he is. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it like gives you like a level of like where people are at, and then I can like heighten that or lower it depending on like what Madison might think about the person. So it was cool, especially because he's like first or second generation K-pop star, so he's been around the block. Um, and so it was kind of cool to act with him because I was like, oh hi, hello.
And then, I mean, did you actually get some kind of selfie? I know there was like the group selfie being taken. Was there a
Yeah.
photo of? Okay.
Let me find it. Hold on, because I have the phone, the like all the selfies that we took in the thing. I have. Wait, let me try to find one.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Like that's like the little behind the scenes kind of moment there that I wish those made it into the show because you can see the excitement on your
Yeah.
face.
And like all the people in the back too, they're like, ah! When I first started EXO Kitty, I thought Madison Miller would be annoying, but honestly, she's just hilarious. So true. Yeah, fair enough.
I know, yeah, we talked about like that comical nature of your character. So it's nice that when you read the scripts, you were kind of able to notice that and really play into that because I mean, what would you be doing if you kind of didn't take some of those emotions and heighten them to the next level?
Yeah, I think that's the fun of playing Madison is I've gotten to really experiment with the comedy of it and like seeing where her boundaries are with comedy and like what how she might react to something, just down to like little stuff, physical comedy and reactions and stuff like that.
I would say in the past few years, there's been so many good productions out there and women in comedy, women in film.
Mhm. Yeah. I think this isn't for my character, but when I first read the script, I was like, wait, this is kind of like New Girl. Like Kitty's in the dorm with all the three guys. And Mino especially is like he's Schmidt. And Schmidt is my favorite character. Probably one of my top five just ever. He's so funny. And so immediately I was like, I love this character. He's so good. And Song Han does such a good job of playing that. Like he's so funny. But that's who like I immediately think of whenever I think of that character.
Was any of the other cast members familiar with New Girl, or did you kind of explain this is why this is New Girl?
I don't think a lot of people were familiar with it. I think some people were, but like it's hard to explain. Like you can't explain Schmidt without seeing Schmidt.
Showing the evidence. Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
cast to watch the series with you next time around.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, that's been so great. I have one more question for you before we wrap
Mhm.
things up. Our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Mm, um, hmm. This is a hard one. I want to say maybe like I don't know if I would really like this flavor, but like a strawberry sorbet, like something that's like light and in like tart, maybe.
I was waiting for you to like personify that a bit, but I think
Oh,
light and tart.
oh. Um, I think I don't know, like I don't think I'm a chocolate ice cream. I think that's too heavy. It's too creamy, and I'm lactose intolerant. And also just like I think there's a thickness to that that just doesn't it's not consistent with my personality. I think like a strawberry lime sorbet is like light and airy, tart, mm, like summery maybe. You'd eat it
I
outside,
like
like
it.
the outdoors.
I think that's perfect. And I feel like I
Yeah.
get that vibe and essence from you. And
Amazing.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us more about Exo Kitty and hearing about Madison. And fingers crossed for a season two.
Yes, yes. Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course. And for all those watching, you can catch Jocelyn in Exo Kitty. Season one is out on Netflix. Tell all your friends, and we will see you next time.